everything does not have to be taken so personally. And I feel like in your 20s, that's something that you really truly need to understand. If you spend every waking minute dissecting every event, okay, analyzing every detail, you are going to drive yourself crazy. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Mindful Vibes 365 podcast, where we have stimulating and productive conversations about how to be more mindful in all the areas of your life. I'm your host, Malaysia, and today's episode is actually going to be super interesting because it's going to be for anyone who's looking to live a more principle-based life. Maybe you're just tired of floating through each day and floating through life and reacting to whatever happens to you, but instead, if you're really focused on building a more principle-based life and building a strong foundation for yourself and how you decide to maneuver and navigate through life, you will find yourself living a more simple life, a more fulfilling life, and a more lighter life in general. So today I'm actually going to be sharing 4 principles that I believe everybody should master, especially if you're in your 20s. Now, if you're not in your 20s, it's okay. If you're in your 30s, your 40s, it really doesn't matter how old you are, because it's never too late to learn something new and start implementing something new in your life. However, if you are in your 20s, I'm just going to put out a PSA and let you know, if you master these 4 things in your 20s, you are going to live a much happier life, okay? There are going to be a lot of times and situations where you could overreact, you could overthink, you could take something personal, but you're not, especially if you follow suit and follow these principles that I'm getting ready to talk about. And these 4 principles are not coming from my brain. I did not make them up. I just want to put that disclaimer out there. They're actually going to be coming from my favorite book, which is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Now, I don't want you to watch this video and think you don't need to go read the book. The book is a very short, simple, quick read, and it's actually something that you can go back in, pick back up and read again over and over, refer to when you're just having a thought about something or just want to be reminded on one of the principles. It is a very easy read. You honestly can finish it in a day or two. Depending on how fast of a reader you are, it might only take a couple hours. But you know how sometimes you just read a book and you're just like, wow, this really just changed everything for me. Even if it's the most simplest thing, even if it's just something so minute, something so simple, something that you know already, but sometimes reading it in a book and seeing different examples and just hearing it in a different way makes you think about it so differently. So that's how I felt when I read The 4 Agreements, and it's been a book that's been in rotation consistently. I've referred back to the principles, ever since I've read it, and I've really tried to live my life based on these 4 principles, because let me tell you, these principles are so practical and really can be applied to your everyday life. So if you're listening to this or watching this right now, I need you to go get that book, The 4 Agreements, like I said, by Don Miguel Ruiz, and you will not regret it. I need you to read this book. After you watch this video, it's going to make a lot more sense anyway, and at that point, you have to go get the book. Okay, so getting into it, the 4 principles are: don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, always do your best, and be impeccable with your word. Starting off with principle number 1, don't take anything personally. Now, this one is really huge, especially in today's time where we live in a world full of social media, where unfortunately everybody can chime in and give their opinion on something. Everybody always has something to say about a topic, or a situation or an event that happened, or even down to just like your day to day. Like, we all have moments where things can definitely be taken personally when they don't have to. For example, somebody doesn't text you back, you're taking that personal. Your friends go out without you this time, you're taking that personal. Somebody is short with you in public and they're not having the best day and they have an attitude and they're kind of snappy, you're taking it personal. Now, I'm not giving those examples to say that nothing is ever supposed to rub you the wrong way or get under your skin or, kind of irritate you a little bit. You're human. However, the truth is, and I'm going to touch you on your shoulder when I say this, not everything is a super personal attack against you. And one of the things this book taught me, which is something I already knew, but after reading this book, the point was really reiterated to me, was that, like I said, everything is not a personal attack towards you. And a lot of times when people do things, it's not that they're doing it because of you or doing it to you on purpose. It's a reflection of who they are. It's a reflection of who they are, where they are in their lives right now, and just a reflection of how they move in general. So a lot of times it doesn't even call for us to take a lot of things so personal, because most of the time, like I said, people's actions have way more to do with them than they do with you. And one thing that I have learned how to really say right now in my life as a 25-year-old is, oh, that's a them problem. Oh, that's on them. That's on them. That don't have nothing to do with me. That's the them problem. Because it really is like that. Like, oh, that's the them problem. Okay, when you take everything so personal, you are giving away your peace and your power. Like, imagine reading so far deep into every single last thing, right? Somebody texts you something, and nowadays where people be like, oh, I feel like that text was passive aggressive, or I feel like you have an attitude over text. The fact that we have even gotten to that point is actually pretty crazy, okay? And this is why, I'm a person where I'm like, I don't discuss anything in terms of a disagreement or something that we need to talk about over the phone or in person over text, because text can get misconstrued, and I don't have time for nobody to be taking anything personal over text message when we should have talked about this in person anyway. But like I said, there's so many opportunities and there's so much room for people to take so many different things personal, right? And you're going to just become this super reactive person. You're never going to feel like you're grounded. You're always going to be on edge because you take everything so personal. If you think about it in your life, you probably know of somebody that's like, she takes everything personal. He takes everything personal, right? And if you can't think about nobody, then you might want to think, is it me? Am I the one that takes everything personal? Because if so, other people can recognize that, and that's not the most positive way to be. And people are honestly going to feel like they have to walk on eggshells around you because you do take everything personal. And that's not the kind of person that you want to be. The less you personalize things, the more freer that you're going to feel. Just because somebody has an attitude with you, that's checking you out at the grocery store, or they didn't say hey back to you when you said, oh, hey, how you doing? Right? And they just brushed it off, or they didn't say anything. Okay, you don't have to take that so personal. Just because maybe, you had a breakup with a friend, or a friend did something that, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to get upset about anything that a person does, but let's say it was just something so simple as they didn't invite you to this particular event and you saw them out with another mutual friend of yours. And it's like, oh, like, I didn't get an invite. Why didn't they ask me to come? Don't take it so personal to the point where you're like, oh, folks is moving weird. I don't want to be friends with these folks no more because they doing stuff without me. They not inviting me. Woot, woot, woot. It doesn't call for all that, because everything does not have to be taken so personally. And I feel like in your 20s, that's something that you really truly need to understand. If you spent every waking minute dissecting and reading the fine print of every situation, every conversation, every interaction, every event, okay, analyzing every detail, you are going to drive yourself crazy. You know that person that always seems to have a problem with something or someone, and they feel like it's never their fault. Like, it's always them. It's always somebody else. They did this, they did that, they did this. It's never, this is the part that I played in this, right? I feel like those are the same type of people who take everything personal. And you truly cannot take every single thing personally. And in the beginning, when things happen, when you have conflict with somebody or a disagreement with somebody, or across the board, there's so many different things that you can take personally. But you might take it personal at first, but you shouldn't stay in that state of mind. You shouldn't stay taking something personal. When things don't work out with a partner or a lover, you can't personalize that forever. You have to take that and be like, okay, I can't take this personal because of X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just going to make your heart a lot lighter, and it's just going to make things a lot easier for you to accept and deal with. I feel like acceptance will come to you a lot easier and just a lot quicker if you learn how to not personalize things so much, because people have their own ways of thinking about stuff. People have their own ways of thinking about things. People have their own feelings. People People have their own thoughts, people have their own emotions, and people have their own experiences. And sometimes when a person does something or a person is acting a certain way to you, or just in general, right, instead of personalizing it, this is exactly why I say things like, oh, that's a them problem. Like, this is something they're going through. I don't have to internalize and personalize this, right? I haven't heard from them as much. I don't have to take it super duper personal. They could just have some things going on. Remember, you are not the only person on this earth. And I feel like a lot of people forget about that, which is why sometimes people are so edgy and just ready to It doesn't call for all that. Learn how to not take everything personal. If I sat here and gave y'all an example of all the different things that, you know, people took personal, I could write a whole book, but it's so many different things, especially with social media. Like, prime example, and this is just a quick example, but I have to give this because I feel like it's so prominent and we see this and experience this every day, especially if you're into TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all this stuff. A person can post a video. This video could be a video that you don't necessarily care for, you don't necessarily agree with, and you just simply like don't like it. And they're maybe in support of the video. And you know, you're going through the comments and some people are agreeing, some people are disagreeing, and they're arguing their points, right? I don't know why it's so hard for people to just scroll past stuff and pretend like they don't see it and not internalize it and personalize it. But I feel like that doesn't happen much anymore. Everybody feels like they have to chime in on something. Whatever happened to just being like, I actually don't give a damn about that. Like, what happened to that? Whatever happened to just being like, that's not my business. I'm not going to take it personal because it's not me. Oh, this person doesn't like this. What does that have to do with me? I'm not going to take that personal. You have to stop taking everything personal. Do not take everything personal. If you can learn how to do this in your 20s, life can go a lot smoother for you. I know I'm only 25, but I really learned, like, if I was to take every single last thing I encountered or every single last thing a person did to me, said to me, how they reacted to me, their energy that I thought was off, I would have been crashed out, as people would like to say. I would have been just went crazy and went off the deep end because I'm reading so deep into everything. And that is taking away from my peace. And I don't have time for that. So you can't take everything personal because, like I said, a lot of things are not even about you. A lot of things you don't have to give your input on. A lot of things you don't have to waste time just deep diving into. So number one, don't take anything personally. Moving on to number two, don't make assumptions. Now, making assumptions is one of the fastest ways to create misunderstandings and unnecessary drama. Now, I want you to think about what the first three letters of assume is. Okay, exactly. You do not want to make an ass out of yourself just because you go around assuming different things, which this is also going to lead to, like I said, a lot of other misunderstandings, conflicts, disagreements, just because you don't have clarity on something and you're taking it upon yourself to assume. Well, I'm going to just assume this. I'm going to just assume the worst. I'm going to just assume they meant this. I'm going to just assume this is how they felt. I'm going to just assume this is what's going on. Nobody told you to assume jack squat, okay? Don't assume nothing. Don't take anything at face value. When you have a question or when you're unclear about something, guess what you need to do? Speak up. Most people don't want to ask questions because they would rather guess and they would rather believe that their guess is right. Everybody wants to be right. Nobody wants to be wrong. For whatever reason, nobody in this life right now in this world wants to be wrong about anything. And it's just so weird. And that's just such a dangerous habit. You're going to find yourself in situations where if you would have never assumed for something to be the case, then you wouldn't have so many fallouts and breakups and disagreements and getting into it with random people and family members and friends and those closest to you. Like, you wouldn't have these interactions that you're having if you just stopped making assumptions and started to prioritize getting clarity, right? If you don't know something, open up your mouth and ask, okay? You don't know the price of something, ask. If your friend provides a service, don't assume that they're going to do this service for free just because y'all are friends. You know what you need to do? Ask, okay? If you're at the store or you're looking to buy something and you don't see a price of what it is, you might see the prices of everything else, but you don't see the price of what this is in front of your face, what you need to do, ask. Don't assume anything, okay? Confused about where the relationship is headed. You talking to a dude, you talking to a nice young lady, and y'all have been, I use the talking word, oh my gosh. You are conversing with a man or a woman, whatever the case is. Don't just assume that y'all are going to get into a relationship. Don't just assume that this is what this person wants, okay? I think some people have truly forgotten that you need to make it known, right? I need to know what you want. What you want? What do you want? Where is this going? I'm not just gonna assume anything because you texting me every day, you calling me, you know, we going on dates and stuff and whatever these folks be doing now on the dating scene. Don't make assumptions, because when you make assumptions in the love department, the friend department, the career department, you find yourself disappointed. And if you don't want to be disappointed more often than not, because sometimes you can't avoid disappointment, even if you do ask, things can still go the opposite way. However, if you don't ever ask, you're going to find yourself in trouble a lot. So you can't leave life and the results that you want up to other people just because you're too afraid to open up your mouth and ask, like, hey, what's going on? Hey, what is the plan? Hey, so how are we moving forward? Hey, you know, when you said this, what did you mean by that? A lot of times arguments and disagreements, or just disagreements, not arguments, they get blown out of proportion because one person was too afraid to step up and ask, like, hey, when you said X, Y, and Z, what did you mean by that? Like, did you mean, you know, don't even try to answer the question for them. Ask, what did you mean by this? When you said this, or when you text this to me, or when you responded this to me, or when you said this in a group chat, what did you mean? Okay, I need clarity. You're dealing with a man, like I said. I'm not just gonna assume that you want to get married and have children and move into a house together. Can't do that, babe. You need to know up front. And that's not to say that people can't wake up every single day and change their mind about stuff. Happens all the time. Happens to the best of us. But you still need to get clarity up front. And the only way that you can do that is by not making assumptions and asking questions. If you're working at a job, don't just assume that your name is in a hat for a promotion. Don't just assume that because you've been working hard, oh, they're definitely going to promote me. Oh, they should know that I want to be promoted. They should know that I want this new position. They should know that I want this new title. They should know that I want this raise. No, speak up for yourself and put yourself out there. Don't assume jack from anybody. Don't assume anything from anyone, any situation, any scenario, any person. Don't assume that people are mad at you, that they have an issue. Don't assume. And the reason why I say that this is something that you should really learn in your 20s is because your 20s are full of so many different transitions, right? Friendships, jobs, dating, your finances. Every single one of those areas require clear communication. So this is why you can't just assume that people will have your best interests at heart all of the time, because no one is going to have your best interests at heart more than you do, okay? And you can't leave your best interests in the hands of somebody else. And if you're worried about sounding annoying, you're not. Most people really appreciate the fact that you want clarity on something. Any, level-headed person would, okay? You can often soften your approach and get clarity just by the way that you communicate with somebody. It's not necessarily all about what you say, but it's how you say it. So like I said, for clarity, as an example, if you want clarity on something, you can say, for clarity, I wanted to know if, say what you got to say. Second example, I just want to make sure I understand if, say what you got to say. Third example, to avoid confusion, when you say X, do you mean Y? To avoid confusion, when you say that you want to have children, do you mean within the next 3 years, 5 years? When you say you want to get married, do you mean within the next 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years? When you say you want a relationship, do you mean within a couple of months when you feel like you've really clicked with somebody, or you still dibbling and dabbling and you out here in the streets? To avoid confusion, when you say there's a new opening for this role coming up, I'm able to apply for it, do you mean that I qualify for it? Do you mean that I'm going to be able to, maybe step into this role? It doesn't matter across the board. I don't care if somebody is doing work on your house. I don't care if somebody is working on your car. I don't care what it is. Any situation in your life, there is room and opportunity for you to ask clarity. You don't have to make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. If you want to live a happier, lighter, more simple life, you need to learn how to not make assumptions about anything. Making assumptions is going to get your feelings hurt. Making assumptions is going to get you let down. Making assumptions is going to have you feeling like an ass. Okay, you don't want that. So number one, don't take anything personally. Number two, do not make assumptions. Hey y'all, thanks so much for tuning into the conversation today. This episode is actually sponsored by my brand, Mindful Vibes 365. If you or anyone you know are experiencing feelings of overstimulation, mental burnout, anxiety, depression, you overall just have a disconnection from God, you don't know where you want to go with your life next, and you just feel like a mental blur is surrounding you, you don't know how to move forward, and you feel like you're just experiencing mental turmoil, I'm willing to bet that it's time for you to go ahead and reprogram your mind and vibe, which is exactly why I created a 90-day guided workbook that's going to help you achieve this and reset and reprogram your mind and vibe through the power of fasting from secular music. Now, as somebody who did this for an entire year, I can honestly say my whole entire life changed. I made more money, my aura became more powerful, my energy became more powerful. So many people love to be around me. So many people love having conversations with me. I'm overall happier. My relationship with God is the best it's ever been. So many benefits. I can't even explain in this short time right now how much my life truly changed when I made the decision to fast from music. Luckily for you, my 90-day workbook is going to be filled with activities that you're going to be able to complete and keep yourself occupied while you're reprogramming your mind and vibe for the next 90 days. You're going to have access to resources, thought-provoking quotes, and tips that you can take and apply to your life every single week. You're going to have hand-picked recommended resources such as sermons, audiobooks, specific personal development teachings, gospel songs, Bible readings, and so much more. I promise you, this workbook is going to change your life. In a world where there are so many different distractions, social media, secular music, and so many things that can truly occupy our minds and embed and ingrain negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative emotions into our hearts and our minds. Once you complete this 90-day fast, this 90-day detox from secular music, you're going to be thinking and vibrating on such a higher level. You're going to become unrecognizable, not only to other people, but to yourself as well. So if you or anyone you know are looking to overcome your feelings of anxiety, depression, overstimulation, and mental burnout, this workbook is absolutely going to change your life. And it's my goal to help at least 1,000 people by 2026 complete a successful secular music detox. I'm honestly so excited about the person you're getting ready to become once you complete this workbook, and I can't wait to hear all about your personal testimony. So make sure you tap the link and go ahead and make sure you grab your Mindful Vibes 365 90-day guided workbook today. Let's get back to the episode. Now, moving on to number 3, which is probably my favorite, although all of them are honestly my favorite. I really do like this one. Always do your best, okay? We live in a culture that sometimes romanticizes being lazy in your 20s. Oh, your 20s are for living it up, experiencing everything, have fun, have a ball, make stupid decisions, da 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 da. I don't buy into that. Okay, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in doing stupid, irrational things and making crazy decisions that I'm probably gonna regret in my 30s, 40s, and 50s. No, ma'am. I've never been a fan of that. If you spend your 20s doing the bare minimum, if you spend your 20s dilly-dallying, not taking nothing serious, not figuring out what type of person you want to become, not doing your best when it comes to working for companies and putting your all into things, right? Just know you're going to get mediocre results. There's no other way around it. You cannot cheat life. You have to work, and you have to work hard, and you need to do your best. And that's not to say that just because you do your best, you're always going to get astronomical results. However, if you do the bare minimum, just know that you are going to get bare minimum results. So don't expect anything other than that. You're just going to overall limit yourself for years to come. Like, always doing your best does not mean that you have to be perfect. A lot of people think that when somebody says like do your best, it means, oh, I have to be perfect and this has to be in order and oh my God, like, no, that's not what it means. Doing your best just means giving your full effort in whatever it is you do. Do your best at work. Do your best in relationships. Do your best in taking care of your health, right? Do your best. And we are all old enough to know what it means to do your best and to not half-ass. Do your best when it comes to eating and your health in terms of eating correctly, eating the right things, not eating and consuming a whole bunch of sugar and fatty and fried foods and, things that are overall raw, too salty, and you just flat out know that it's unhealthy, do your best to eat balanced meals. Do your best to cook at home. Do your best to work out, to move your body every single day. Do your best to be a great friend to somebody. Do your best to communicate, right? Do your best to show up for other people. All of that falls under doing your best. Doing your best at work. If you're trying to get further and you're trying to move up in a company, or, you know, start your own business and make sure your business pop off or whatever, even this podcast is an example of me doing my best, right? I am committed to making sure I make valuable content to release to y'all every single week. If I was just coming on here talking about a whole bunch of nothing and, you know, not giving good solid points that you guys could take away and apply to your everyday lives, that wouldn't be me doing my best. So doing your best means that, like I said, you're giving your full effort for something. You're not half-assing it. You're not just like, oh, I'm just gonna do the bare minimum. Nah, if you do the bare minimum, just know the bare minimum is what you're gonna get back. So you can't expect life to just give you something grand, a grand celebration, a grand surprise, grand blessings and abundance. Okay, that's not how it works. God wants you to do your best. He wants you to do your best to the best of your abilities. And when you don't know how to do more, call on him for help. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to know what you need to do and do it. Okay, don't think that you're cheating anybody other than yourself when you're not doing your best. You're only hurting yourself and anybody else that potentially looks up to you or whatever the case may be. But always do your best. That's one of my favorite ones. I grew up being told to do your best. My parents have always told me in school, do your best, do your best, do your best. That has been ingrained in me. So I always got straight A's in school. I've always done well. I've always been very liked, you know, by pretty much everybody. Okay, because I have always put an effort and made an effort to do my best. And when I wasn't doing my best, you can be hyper aware and know when you're not doing your best. You can be hyper aware and know, like, you know what? I could have did better. I could have did better on that. I could have did better with this. I could have put a little bit more effort into that, right? We know we are not dumb and we are not 5-year-olds, okay? We are grown adults, and in your 20s, it's up to you to figure out and make that decision if you're going to do your best. If you do your best in your 20s, do your best to be successful, do your best to establish a good career for yourself, do your best to, you know, make and build solid relationships, do your best to live a healthy life. These are all things that are setting you up for your 30s. Don't listen to them folks who just want to encourage you to half-ass and do things that are not going to be beneficial to you for your 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and so forth, right? Yes, have fun, but do your best in the areas that matter the most, okay? Do your best. Remember that. Always do your best, because that's gonna save you. It's gonna come some points in your life where you're going to be on the other side of something and you're gonna be thanking yourself, like, I'm glad I put in the extra effort to do this. I'm glad I put in the extra work and the extra time to get ahead of this, to get a jump on this, right? All because you did your best. So number 3, do your best. And remember that doing your best builds confidence, okay? It's how you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than what you think. Like, you're capable of going further than your mental restraints, or, you know, you're capable of truly doing anything. And when you consistently do your best, you're going to eliminate regret. And that's the biggest thing. When people get old and, you know, they're in nursing homes and whatever, they're reflecting on their lives, like, a lot of times these people are bringing up things that they regret not doing, right? I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. I ain't trying to be old living like that. I want to be, you know, like, I did this, I did that. I made an effort to do this because I always did my best. I always strive for this. I always push forward. You won't have to wonder, did I give it my all? Okay, did I really do as much as I could have did? And oh, my 20s, I should have did this, and I really could have went after more with this company and this industry, or I really could have started my business and I could have took this a lot further. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Okay, we don't have time for that. You don't have to live your life with regrets. And all of that boils down to you doing your best in this very moment. Like, ask yourself, what is it in my life right now, or what area in my life can I be doing more? Can I be doing my best? Am I doing my best in this area, in this area, in this area? If not, you got some adjustments that you need to make. Okay, moving on to number 4 as we wrap up know I said the last one was my favorite, but this one is actually my favorite because this is a strong principle that I live by because it's just so important. Like, your word is everything. Okay, so that brings me to be impeccable with your word. I just feel like this is so powerful because your word is everything. Being impeccable with your word can actually mean different things. Like, even in the book itself, it talks about different ways of how you can be impeccable with your word. And for me, I take it as speaking with integrity, both to yourself and to others. So no negative talk, no gossip, no throwing around words that you don't mean. You should not be talking to yourself in a negative way. Oh, I'm a failure. Oh, I'm a loser. Oh, I'm ugly. Oh, I'm fat. I'm da-da-da. I'm not this, right? I'm not talented. I don't know how to do this. I'm stupid. You can make jokes like that all day, but at the end of the day, that's not being impeccable with your word. Every word that you speak out of your mouth holds weight. Therefore, if you're not being impeccable with your word and you're not speaking life into yourself, and anything that comes out of your mouth is not positive or productive or stimulating, uplifting, motivating, you're not being impeccable with your word. Your word should align with the highest standards, building you up, building others up, not tearing yourself down, not tearing others down. This includes the conversations, like I said, that you have with yourself in your head. The more you talk down on yourself, the more your life is going to be horrible. The more you talk down on yourself, the more you believe that you're a failure, that you suck, that you're not smart, that you can't do something. The more you tell yourself that, the more your subconscious mind is going to replay it over and over and over. And that's going to become a lifestyle for you. Like, that's how you're going to think. And you don't want that. If you want to strengthen this and you want to become better with your word, you have to start feeding your mind with more positive things, more books, uplifting books or motivational podcasts, spend less time on toxic social media platforms. When you fill your mind with good things overall, your words are going to naturally flow. Like, you are going to speak more positive about yourself. You're going to speak more positive towards other people. You're not going to engage in a whole bunch of gossip, right? So just understand that when you speak with love, compassion, truth, all that, life gets easier. And you can also take being impeccable with your word in a sense of saying what you mean and meaning what you say. When you say you're going to do something, do it. Whether that's something you need to do for yourself or something that you need to do as far as another person. Watching how you speak to other people in heated arguments or disagreements or whatever. Like, being impeccable with your word ranges so far, but I feel like everything that I just spoke on, it really just boils back down to those points that I made, like speaking with love, compassion, honesty. Be honest. Do not be a liar. No way that you can be impeccable with your word and you're a liar. You're cheating yourself. You're lying to yourself. Okay? Keep it real with yourself and keep it real with other people as well. So there you have it, y'all. 4 simple yet life-changing principles. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best and be impeccable with your word. If you start practicing these now, especially if you are in your 20s, and remember, you can start this whether you're in your 30s, your 40s, it doesn't matter. If you're watching this, however old you are, start now. But being a woman in my 20s and, living by this every single day, if you start this right now at this current moment, as soon as you click off of this episode, you will set yourself up for a lifetime of less drama, less chaos, less stress, and way more peace. So if you stayed to the very end of this episode and this episode resonated with you, first things first, thank you so much for listening and watching. And secondly, I highly recommend going to pick up the 4 Agreements. This is one of those books that you will come back to over and over, and you will appreciate the fact that you took the time out to read it. Remember, it's never too late to start living by these principles. You can start today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year in 2026, but today. You can start living by these principles today and making space for a much more peaceful life. So thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Bye.